Hmm? All right. I like to see you all jollied up like that.
I am. I just came from Atlanta. I was there for 3 weeks. Yeah. How you doing, Mr. Springs?
Okay.
No, you say binder. Mr. Mayor, how are you?
All right. What's up?
I'm good. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Scott, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. It's now
Man,
seven,
you don't sit here.
4 minutes past 7 p.m. I believe today is January 9th, right? 2018, and we are here for our regularly scheduled council meeting, the first of the year, actually. And I believe I'm looking for the agenda, if I have one. Mr. Clerk, we can proceed with roll call.
Mayor Joseph,
Here.
Councilman Galvin,
Here.
Vice Mayor Keys, Councilman Bieneme, and Councilman Dezume.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum to proceed.
Thank you very much. And if will please stand up and proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Please your hand over your heart. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This one doesn't have anybody there. Okay, so then. I'm in the wrong. Okay, at this time we'll ask Pastor, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses, Pastor LaRose, who is going to lead us in invocation.
Please rise.
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, I present unto you this meeting tonight and your oversight of this meeting. And I pray for peace, guidance, and direction for this meeting. I pray, for God, for the leaders to make the godly decision, to give them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to work for the benefits of this community, to solve the problems and the issues facing the community. I also pray for the elected officials, the population at large, the police chief, and also the police force, Father God. We ask you to lead, to give them guidance so they can work for the benefits of this community. Let this meeting be beneficial to the community. We ask you all of that. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Pastor. Okay, then, number. Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we will go to our third agenda item, which is, no, the fourth, which is the order of business. At this time, we'll ask the manager if there is any addition, amendment, or omission to the agenda to please.
None at this time, sir.
Nothing at this time. Mr. Attorney, I will take it that our agenda is set and we may proceed.
Yes, Mayor, the agenda is set. You may proceed.
Thank you very much. We go down to now. I believe we do have one or two special presentations before we go to our to the orders of businesses of the city. Let me see, 1 and 2. Okay.
Now?
I'm on my way.
too red. The first special presentation is to PAL, the Police Athletic League. This is a certificate of recognition presented to PAL from the city of North Miami. And this month we are celebrating the National Mentoring Month, and that's why PAL, as most of us know, is an entity that has been created in this city for quite some time, and they've been making a tremendous a difference in the lives of our youth. We have a PAL product, as a matter of fact, here in our midst on the dais. Our elected clerk. Is he still here? Oh, he bailed out? Oh, you're part of the PAL too? All right. So when we sat down and I was presented with the choice of, getting an organization or a person or a group of persons who have done something, exceptional in this community, and we went back and forth on different groups, and of course, when PAL was mentioned, there was no discussion, there is no debate about it. So if the PAL people, the directions can come and say a few words, and I would appreciate it. If our shortest police officer would.
Mayor, thank you. On behalf of all the members of PAL, we appreciate the recognition. Mentoring is a critical component of the PAL program, and you can see all these great children with their smiling faces, and we have a few of our mentors here, and PAL produces productive, active leaders within our community, and you can certainly see that around North Miami, whether it's our city clerk or some of our police officers or some of our members of the business community. So again, thank you for the recognition, and I'll have Natalie, as you indicated, our tallest officer, come forward to accept.
You want to read it? No, read it.
Okay.
Here.
We got to bring this down.
Here, let me bring it down for you.
It says to the Police Athletic League, National Mentoring Month 2018. The City of North Miami recognizes PAL for its dedication in mentoring the youth, the young people of our community, and ensuring that they achieve their full potential. We thank you for setting aside time to invest in their lives and wish you continued success. Presented on this 9th day of January 2018.
Now, before they go, I want to mention something exceptional that happened to PAL about a few weeks ago. Because of the wonderful work of our interim chief of police, and we had the NFL commissioner was here, and as well as the president or CEO of the Miami Dolphins. They were there with us for a roundtable discussion with some of the Dolphins players. And while we were talking, and of course, PAL was mentioned, and we talked about the highs and lows and the growing pains that we are going through. And I'm the kind of guy, when it comes to begging and asking for other people, I have no shame. So because of the wonderful work of our interim chief, I can proudly say that we made acquisition of $50,000 from the NFL or from the Dolphins? From the Dolphins. From the Dolphins. But 50,000 more will not hurt. So whoever's ready to donate, PAL is ready to receive. Right? All right. I refuse to feel like I'm over 50. No, this one, I say, yeah, sure. The next presentation is a recognition to one of our own, Mr. Stephen J. Gould. No, not Gould. Stephen J. Pizzillo. Who in the audience know who Stephen J. Gould is? Stephen J. Gould is the father of. That's a totally different subject, right? Our building director has received the 2017 Building Official of the Year. Okay? Since I'm not your boss, I'm going to call your boss to please come and do the rest for me.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right?
I got my own. Good evening, everybody. Just a little background. Steve received this award from the Broward County Building Officials Association. That is correct. Steve started his tenure, rather, in the construction industry in South Florida almost 3 decades ago, rising through the ranks to his current position of building official. Along the way, Steve served as the president of the South Florida Buildings Officials as well as the Broward County Building Officials. At the state level, he has served on the board of directors for the Building Officials Association of Florida and the International Code Council Region 9. He currently chairs the Education Committee of the BCBO, which runs the largest single code education conference in the United States and is spearheading building code enforcement training throughout. The one thing I want to say about Steve, since I've been working with him the last couple of years, he stepped in here and helped us build our building department. We were outsourced. Steve brought it together, interviewed all the people, and we're working real hard. He's working real hard to keep us moving. Clearly, I know he's very active at the state because every week he asks me to go to Tallahassee for some meeting. No, I'm just kidding. No, but he's helping us with building legislation and is on the forefront. And one of the things I tell all my directors, if you're in the lead in the forefront of the professional associations you're a member of, that means I have the best employee in that area. So, Steve, congratulations on your award.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. Manager, thank you very much. And I always say my name is on the plaque, but it's actually my entire association, my organization over there that has gotten us, because one of the criteria is they go out and they ask people in the communities for the most improved. And this year, North Miami's name came up consistently. So this is really something for my entire crew. So thank you very much.
All right. Let the show continue. From Bahamas. Back in Kiev. Is he here?
I don't do. They're not here. Okay.
They're not here?
Then they out of gas. What is this? Oh.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, North Miami neighbors, and guests.
Sorry.
I'm Eunicia Baker. I'm the Senior Public Information Officer, and it's my pleasure.
Go ahead.
Sorry. And it is my pleasure to share some of our upcoming city events, programs, and happenings with you this evening. Hours of operation at the North Miami Public Library have recently changed. New hours of operation are 9:30 a.m. through 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and Friday and Saturday, 9:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. Closed on Sunday. Also, please note that all students utilizing the North Miami Public Library from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. on Monday through Friday must present their North Miami Public Library card to gain entry. Learn more by visiting the North Miami Public Library's website at www.northmiamifl.gov/NOMI Library. Wednesday, January 10th at 6 p.m., join us in the Mocha Plaza as we salute the work and the vision of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during the annual Candlelight Vigil. This vigil celebrates Dr. King's life through spoken word, song, and dance performances by students from local schools and universities. It is presented by the North Miami University Relations Board. For details, log on to the North Miami website /celebrate. This Saturday, January 13th, join Alonzo Mourning for Zoe's Winter Groove, featuring a 5K run walk at North Miami's Athletic Stadium. It's located at 2555 Northeast 151 Street. This event also features free sports clinics and other activities for the entire family to enjoy. Pre-registration is required. Registration for the 5K run walk begins at 6:30 p.m. The Family Fun Day starts at 9:30 a.m. Sports clinics for youth ages 7 to 16 will run from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Registration is limited. To do so, visit www.zoswintergroove.com. The next Getting Geared Community Bike Ride and Wellness Initiative is set for Saturday, January 13th, with registration at 8 a.m. It's hosted by the NMPD and the City of North Miami's Parks and Recreation Department. This 10-mile group bike ride starts and ends at the Mocha Plaza. It includes stops at Zoe's Winter Groove and the North Miami Library Cafe this month. This event takes place every second Saturday. Inquiries may be forwarded to the office of the Mayor and Council. Also, on Saturday, January 13th, from 3 to 9 p.m., join the North Miami Community Redevelopment Agency for Mad About Nomi, featuring Grammy Award-winning recording artist Angie Stone, local acts, and a kids zone, and so much more. Experience the Hungry Black Man's Mac and Cheese Showdown, food demonstrations, and barbecue samplings prepared by local chefs. For more information, call 786-273-0702. Please note that North Miami's administrative offices will be closed on Monday, January 15th, 2018, in observance of the Martin Luther King Jr. Day holiday. Teens and adults are invited to hip-hop yoga at the North Miami Public Library on Saturday, January 20th, from 10 to 11 a.m. Fun classes include various styles of music, including hip-hop, reggae, and indie pop, linking breathing to movement while increasing flexibility and stamina and balance. To register, visit nomilibrary.eventbrite.com or call 305-900-4329. Join Councilman Philippe Banamé and the Association of Haitian Educators for a parents' meeting and dialogue with school board member Dr. Steve Gallen. In addition to helpful educational resources, there will be raffles for handheld electronics and gift cards. This event is scheduled for 10 a.m. through 1 p.m. on Saturday, January 24th at the North Miami Public Library. Councilman Alex Dezume and Sandy the Spotlight Diva invite you to set your 2018 goals during the Empower with the Vision Board Party on Sunday, January 28th at 4 p.m. at the Joe Celestine Center. Register at forthepowerwiththevision.eventbrite.com. Board materials and refreshments are included with registration. The City of North Miami wants to connect with you. Stay up to date with the latest happenings in our city by visiting www.northmiamifl.gov, then clicking the Connect with NOMI icon on the homepage, where you can sign up to receive our free monthly NOMI newsletter. You may also tune into free governmental programming on NOMI TV, available 24 hours a day through the city's website. Residents may also like the city on Facebook and follow @NOMI News on Twitter, or download the My NOMI app. This concludes today's announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Anita Baker. Eunice, I'm sorry. Okay, now let's get to the businesses of the city. Earlier, I mentioned the name Stephen J. Gould, G-O-U-L-D. That wasn't him. Okay, Stephen Jay Gould was a evolutionary biologist who lived and passed away. I had the opportunity actually to see him speak at FSU back in the days when I was in college. But I also want to mention the presence. I don't know if you're incognito, but you're on camera. The Commissioner Moniz Team's office is represented by his Chief of Staff, Mr. Laurie Stone. And in our midst, we have former Mayor Kevin Burns in our midst as well. I think we're supposed to have a Parliament member from the Grand Bahamas. I don't know if he's present yet. Okay, they're not here yet. Okay, if there is no other dignitary in the room, we will proceed with a motion for the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Desmay to approve the consent agenda. The motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote.
Sorry, Mr. Clerk, the manager did make mention to me that there was a request for a special presentation that the presenter wanted to go. Huh? Okay. Which item is that? That would be tab K as in kite? That's the way you spell kite, right? With a K. Okay.
Okay, is it okay, Mayor, if I proceed with tab K?
Yeah. No, that's
Tab K, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager and city attorney to negotiate and execute a non-exclusive license agreement in substantially the attached form between the city of North Miami and Lutron Holdings, Inc. for the Lime Bike Bicycle Sharing Program,
Barbara.
providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Before the staff goes out, just quickly, this is again an initiative that was brought to me by Mayor Smith Joseph to start looking into some of the bike sharing programs. We, through staff, and they'll do the presentation, we met with pretty much all of the current purveyors, and through staff recommendation, ended up with Lime Bike as the bike sharing program that we'd like for the board to consider. So with that, I'll hand it over to Stephen Marcellus to do the presentation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. As you know, my name is Stephen Marcellus. I am the new transportation liaison, and we had a long line of bike sharing programs that we went through, and we basically just want to make sure we cater to our residents, and that's why we chose the Lime Bike. We have the representative today, Gutier, that will explain more into details what their program and their services they can provide to the city of North Miami.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just before the presentation, this may look like a very small endeavor, but this is actually very big. This is a worldwide revolution for bike riding. And as you know, as your dear mayor, I sit on the, which is now known as the TPO board. And the TPO actually has traveled to different cities and different countries. And it's all about walkability, connectivity, when it comes to transportation and transit and so forth. So we're talking about a transportation and transit revolution going on throughout the entire world. So because we're trying to abate, the production of, our carbon footprint, we're trying to diminish that as much as possible. So as a city, of a population of, I think we should be in the 70,000 now, and I am actually the only mayor on the Northeast corridor that sits on that board. So that's why the mayor of Mayor Burke, the then mayor of Miami Shores, we had some talk about the bike sharing programs, and I was looking at us and not Miami Beach and Aventura. There is no reason someone could not just get a bike here and ride instead of driving, even from Biscayne to 7th Avenue. So this is a revolution going on. This is just a start, and the sky will be the limit.
Yep, absolutely. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilman, thank you very much for your time. My name is Gauthier Derrien. I work with Lime Bike. I'm the general manager here in South Florida. I appreciate the time. As you had said, can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
As you've said, this is a technology kind of revolutionizing how people get around, and we're extremely excited at the opportunity to serve North Miami. I'll try to go through this deck as quickly as possible because no one likes PowerPoints that much, but there is some helpful information here. So why we're building Lime Bike, as you had said, we're revolutionizing urban mobility by solving first mile, last mile challenges. Everybody in public transportation recognizes it's kind of the holy grail if you can actually solve it well. We do this through dockless bikes. It's a relatively simple change to the dock-based system, but because they're free-floating and because you can pick them up and drop them off anywhere, it makes the whole system that much more effective. And to give you a couple insights, I mean, Lime Bike was born here in South Florida. Our first city was in Key Biscayne. We launched Key Biscayne this past summer. Over the last 6 months, 2/3, we've had over 8,000 people sign up in Key Biscayne of an island of a village of 12,000. So basically 3/4 of the residents have signed up and used the service. That's, I think that number speaks to how well received it is by the public, and the price point itself is also so attractive that basically anybody can afford the dollar per half hour or 50 cents for those who qualify. And this can complement existing transportation systems. It also reduces congestion and frees up parking. I think everything any city can get behind. The limitations of traditional bike sharing, primarily cost-based. This is a service that costs $0 to the city. We take on every single cost associated with this, from the operations to the bike themselves, to any sort of issues that come up, from the minor, theft is a relatively limited issue, but anything that occurs, the city takes no responsibility for that, both from a liability perspective as well as a cost perspective. One of the limitations, and I think you guys can all agree, that the dock-based systems has is the equitability. Because there's quite a bit of capital required to develop these, there's a lot of research done as to where that capital can be recouped. And if you look at a map of traditional dock-based systems, they don't aim to serve the community at large. They aim to serve where people can pay to recoup those initial costs. And when you see the distribution of those city bikes, you'll see that they don't necessarily aim to serve the entire city. Our bikes, we want them to go where riders use them. That doesn't matter your race, creed, ethnicity, sexual orientation, it doesn't matter. The bikes will go there and we will serve those markets. So the aspect of equitability is something that we like to, that we're quite proud of, because again, the bikes will find themselves in whatever neighborhood that people want to use them in. We truly are revolutionizing urban mobility. The technology in here, I mean, from the surface, this seems like a pretty standard bike. However, there's a solar panel at the bottom of that basket. That solar panel powers a battery. There's a primary and a backup battery, and that primary and backup battery powers this 3G locking mechanism that also has a GPS in it, which allows us to track the bikes and allows users to find the bikes. Our goal is to have a bike within a block or a couple blocks of every user who wants to use it. That way, like an Uber, I came from Uber previously here in Miami. I helped bring Uber to South Florida. As we said at Uber, we wanted Uber to be as reliable as running water. Same thing with Lime Bike. We want you to be able to open up your phone, hop on a bike, drop it off at your destination, as opposed to a dock-based system. Again, my colleague likes to give the example. He lives in DC where there's a dock-based system. He has to walk 6 blocks to get to the dock, then he has to walk 8 blocks to drop off the bike and then walk to work. So with Lime Bike, that should be much shorter. What sets us apart? We are an American company. We hire locally. We're the best funded American company. It's a competitive space for those that follow the dockless bike sharing industry. We are here to stay. We've grown. We put bikes on the ground in the US in June. Since then, we've entered into over 40 markets in the United States, including college campuses. And we also are comprised of, operations folks like myself who have been involved in high growth startups. I understand the pains and challenges and how to address those, as well as our business development side is filled with former congressional staffers, so we understand what it is to sit on the other side of the table. And we work, we never go into a city without the agreement, hence why we're here presenting in front of you today, hopefully to be able to work with you guys to bring Lime Bike to South Florida. Also worth mentioning here, the first bullet point, again, worth reiterating, we require no funding to operate, and we fund it all. So, you know, it's relatively simple to, I don't have my phone here, but riders open the application. That's the screen that you see on your app. When you find a bike, you walk up to it, you scan the QR code. Let's see if it'll work here. Thank you so much. Hello? You open it up. There's 3 QR codes. These are like the license plates for this. When a user walks up, oh, this bike is, I forgot to put this bike off of maintenance mode. When a bike is broken down, we put it in maintenance mode remotely so somebody can't take a broken bike.
Remotely,
My team placed this out in front of the city commission before the meeting, and I told them, put it in maintenance mode so somebody doesn't take it away, and we're left with no bike for the demo. But basically, when a user unlocks this, the bike makes a little jingle. It's tied to that user. They ride it wherever they want, and they simply lock it. That's all that happens. Pretty simple. Thank you so much.
That's interesting.
You pay for only the time that you spend riding, obviously. You basically buy credits as opposed to continually charging you. You'll buy a small package of credits, you know, 5 30-minute credits, 10 30-minute credits. And then when you're done, you're presented a simple summary, or trip origin, trip destination. And what's great about the technology that we have behind this is even if we can track every time somebody opens the application and there's no bike. And so as we get more and more data from a city in which we operate, we can see what we call missed opportunities, and we then know our original deployment of bicycles, okay, maybe we're missing bikes from this area or this area. And again, based on no other consideration of where there is unmet demand. Again, technology, it's best in class. We have the most iterations. You know, we change bikes every 3-4 months. This isn't even the latest iteration. We just released and announced yesterday at the Consumer Electronics Fair event in Las Vegas. We will be rolling out e-assist bikes to further improve the accessibility. An e-assist bike is basically this bike with a battery pack on the bike that goes up to 60 miles and basically allows the user to basically use the pedals as the gas. So you can be going uphill and it'll feel like you're going downhill. Affordable pricing, again, pay as you go, $1 for 30 minutes, $30 for 100 rides, or 50% off for students, staff, and faculty.
Right.
We have a team of local operations folks who basically ride around, they do the maintenance, they do the rebalancing, and they make sure there's always bikes where they need to be. We hire locally, and we hire locally. Ideally, we can hire people in residents of North Miami to help serve that, as they know the community best. They know how that operates. The local team makes sure they do the bike replacement, rebalancing, customer service. We have a 24/7 customer service team who responds to anything within minutes during normal, or within minutes, even outside of normal business hours. Our approach to smart parking, we're the first company to provide, basically to encourage our users to park smartly. We have what we call bonus rides, where users can pick up a bike that's far out of the town and get paid in the form of credits to bring that back. We share data with cities. You had mentioned you work with, I believe it's the FDOT, or the agency that basically helps. The information you can get from us can help you apply for funding, can help you see where you can basically add bike lanes, et cetera, et cetera. You can imagine a map of thousands of rides, millions of rides over the course of a year. You'll really understand where people are moving to and from, and this can help you improve how you plan your city. Use case in Seattle, we've done hundreds of thousands of trips in Seattle. All, 60-70% of those all occur within 10 meters of bus stops. This really does complement existing transportation systems, and we
Right.
invest in your community. This is the map we're in now, and we look forward to it. Yeah. Any questions?
Uh,
Do you have lights on your bikes?
We do.
didn't see that. So.
So it comes on as you propel or as Oh, okay. When you pedal?
Oh, okay, so someone, from the Shores had mentioned they were, like, concerned because people were leaving the bikes, there were bikes, like, all over the place. Do we have that concern, Mr. Manager, or how quickly did they pick up the bikes?
I would ask you to contact Tom Benton. I've worked directly with him. My first week on the job, I got a complaint from Tom Benton. He had said, hey, we've had this, a resident had called to complain. I worked with him, even though the bike it was on property that we had worked together to establish. However, she didn't like it in front of her home. We worked to address that. I've checked in with Tom weekly since. He said he hasn't had any complaints since. So I would lie if I would say there's no growing pains. There's not going to be any resistance to it. There's always resistance to change. That being said, I think the benefits far outweigh the concerns. And again, we have the local team on the ground to address these complaints proactively.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Any other?
I guess we have to get public hearing for that. Okay. Now, public hearing is open on the item K, on this presentation that you just watched and heard. Yeah, come and ask any questions or concerns.
First of all, my name is Lisette Garcia, and I work for OFO. So we are the other bike share service, and for differentiators, we're the yellow bikes. I met with City Manager Spring, and I applaud the city for bringing in dockless bike sharing, and I love that our colleagues are implementing this service. OFO, I can tell you we could be the biggest and the greatest, but basically I know this is a non-exclusive, and I recommend kindly that you consider more than one bike share service for the city. Thank you.
Competition produces better goods.
Speaking of competition, we work really well in tangent. We have cities like in Seattle where there's a Lime Bike, there's a Spin, and there's other competitors, and we work really well together. We are $1 an hour versus $1 half an hour. That's all.
Oh, I like that.
Good evening, Annie Montgomery, 2082 Laurel Lane. Isn't there a requirement for helmets when you ride a bicycle? How is that covered?
I think it's voluntary.
It's
It's voluntary.
I thought it was a requirement, but okay.
No.
What happens if somebody falls off a bicycle? Who's responsible? Who's liable?
The other thing that I would, any possibility of putting built-in umbrellas on those in case it's raining, and hey, it may be extra, an extra 25 cents. If it's raining, boom, they put it and then the umbrella opens. And have you considered Shark Tank yet? Mark Cuban? Okay, so do we have to vote on this?
Well, I have a question. I thought, are we closed with public hearing?
Yes, public
Okay.
hearing is not closed.
Question, sir. I wrote it down, the price. So how does it work again? The person must have a credit card. Does a debit card work, or so they will rent the bike? What happens if they don't return it?
So the bikes have GPS, so we can
Track them?
We can track them. There are cases when people will ride the bike from from a row of bikes, let's say in front of City Hall. They'll take that to their home. That's when our operations teams comes into play, where they go and basically fetch those bikes. In terms of your question on credit or debit cards, credit and debit cards are accepted. We also offer a cashless system where people can purchase credits with cash, call the number, and we can unlock the bike remotely.
Okay, so they'll have a card to
Similar
access
to
the
if you're
card.
buying prepaid credits for a phone or something.
Yeah, it's a good program. Thank you, sir. It's a good program. But Mr. Manager, quick question: have we considered perhaps the dollar for my area?
So the reason,
If we're gonna have it, I like that dollar.
so and she
1 hour,
actually,
1 hour.
Yeah.
the competitor actually said it. This agreement is non-exclusive, so
Okay.
we can do more. This is just us doing a pilot try this one out.
Okay.
We could actually, in theory, get all of the different bike share programs and have them.
Okay, that would be good. All right. Well, do you have an area where the pilot will be? Sir? No. No, don't do it, sir.
Yes, it'll be citywide. We picked some locations already.
Okay, we would like to see those, next time, Mr. Manager, if you.
It would be good to have the list of the locations
Yeah, at least
now.
we know, because I don't necessarily, I would prefer to wait and have it elsewhere, and then once we launch the big thing, to have it in my area. Okay,
And I'm
thank
sorry,
you.
I do want to acknowledge we do have representatives from FIU and Johnson Noel in the meeting, so thank you.
It's a good program.
So what is your threshold as far as biking duration? When do you get a red flag that the bike has been out too long? Do you have a threshold for that? No.
We don't have a particular threshold. I mean, we aim to touch every bike within 2 days. A bike will go, I believe it's automatically triggered after a few hours if it hasn't been moved. We, on our system, see a bike as either attached to a trip or unattached to a trip. Eventually, that'll get flagged as unattached to a trip, and that's when we go and do our, rebalancing, as we call it.
Okay, if there is no more questions or concern on
Just
the...
a quick question. And Mayor, do you have a list of the locations that you already identified? Is that Arch Creek East is on the list? Okay. Okay. No, that's a bike. Okay. No more questions.
All right. And I will need a motion to approve the item.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve tab K. The motion was seconded by Councilman Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Tab G, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the selection of Metro Express, Inc. as the lowest responsive and responsible contractor to perform the roadway improvements project on Northwest 130th Street from Northwest 10th Avenue to Northwest 12th Avenue in accordance with the terms, conditions, and specifications contained in invitation for bid number 10-17-18. Roadway Improvements Project, Northwest 130th Street, further authorizing the city manager and city attorney to negotiate and execute an agreement with Metro Express, Inc. for the provision of services in an amount not to exceed $631,500, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Alberto Estrada, Purchasing Director. The item that you have before you is the results of a bid solicitation that was issued by the city on November 30th, 2017 for the roadway improvement project along Northwest 130th Street between 10th Avenue and Northwest 12th Avenue. As reflected in your council report, on the second page of the council report, there were 11 bids that were submitted in response to this solicitation. Following staff's review and evaluation of these submitted bids, in conjunction with the project engineer, the company EBS Engineering Incorporated, we are recommending for your approval the award of this project to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, the company Metro Express Incorporated, in the amount of $631,500. I should point out that this bid price is not only lower than the estimated cost of this project, as reflected in the solicitation, but also at the participation in the solicitation of 11 bidders, which, as the mayor just recently stated, competition produces better goods and pricing. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them. Also present here are representatives of the project engineer, EBS Engineering, Benjamin Essien and Emil Amady, as well as Public Works Director, Mr. Whistle Pierre Lewis, and his staff.
All right, let's quickly open it to the public, and then we'll come to the dais for further comments or questions. If anyone wishes to be heard on this item, item J as in Joseph, like me, please come forward. I see no one coming, and therefore public hearing is closed. J or G? Oh, it's God, not Joseph, it's God. G as in God. Public hearing is now closed. Well, the only thing I have to say about this, this is a project that I identified about, 3 years ago when I first got elected. And I'm saying kudos to the manager as well as the director, well, of course, Mr. Estrade. But I hope that in the future that we don't, that projects, when it comes to repairing streets and sidewalks and so forth, that we be a little bit more swift in executing these repairs because the city desperately need them, because we have streets that have not been touched for the past couple of decades, maybe if not even 3 or 4 decades, I don't know. And there are a lot of them. So, but again, thank you very much for finally bringing this to, well, not to fruition yet, but at least we are awarding it, and thank you very much. And the people on 130th Street between 10th and 13th Avenue will be very happy. Any comment or questions about the bidding process now? With that, we go to a vote.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
Well, we need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve tab G. The motion was seconded by Councilman Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Tab H. Proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the selection of Creepco Contracting LLC as the lowest responsive and responsible contractor to perform the roadway improvements project on Northeast 133rd Street from West 60 Highway to Northeast 11th Avenue in accordance with the terms, conditions, and specifications contained in the invitation for bid number 11-17-18 roadway improvements project, Northeast 133rd Street. Further, authorizing the city manager and city attorney to negotiate and execute an agreement with CEPCO Contracting LLC for the provision of services in an amount not to exceed $438,446.87, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Once again, good evening. For the record, Alberto Estrade, Purchasing Director. Tab H is the companion item to Tab G, in that it reflects the results of another bid solicitation also issued on the same day, November 30th, for a companion roadway improvement project, this one along Northeast 133rd Street from West Dixie Highway to Northeast 11th Avenue. As reflected in the second page of your council report, which was submitted in support of this item, the city received 12 bids in response to this solicitation. Following staff's review and evaluation of the submitted bids in conjunction with the project engineer, EBS Engineering, we are recommending approval of the award of this project to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, CEPCO Contracting LLC, in the amount of $438,446.87. I should add that in addition to the bid price being lower than the estimated cost of the project, CEPCO also happens to be a North Miami local vendor. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to take your questions. And once again, there are members here of the engineer and also the contracting firm. Thank you.
Again, we'll open this item to the public, item H. For anyone who wishes to be heard, I see no one, hear none. Public hearing is now closed. Again, this is another
Yes.
Street projects, in the same scope of the other one that was just mentioned. We identified these roads and we want to fix them, so that's pretty much it. If you have any comment, Mr. Councilman, let's hear it now.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. One quick question, Mr. Estrada. My concern, I don't have a concern about the actual, contract, but the fact that it's low, real low, almost 150 or even more than the other one. Are we confident?
It's one
have-
block less.
It's one block less. Okay, perfect. So we okay. My second question is, would these be part of the new program that we put in place? Is this fall under the new guidelines, the new program that we had put in place?
So you mean when we did the actual citywide study?
No, not the citywide study. The program for them to hire the community benefits.
Would it be
yes.
subject to it?
Yes,
what's the
subject to the community benefits.
Right. If I may, Councilman,
What's-
Yes, sir.
through the city manager, if I may, the ordinance that requires the local participation is tied to the use of city funds. City funds. The funds that are used for these projects are not city funds.
What funds are they?
They are the transportation surtax funds,
Okay.
which are different than city funds. So therefore, you cannot.
Let me
tie
clarify
everything.
one use of
Yeah.
his terms. The ordinance calls for that enactment when we use general fund dollars. In this case, we're using a special revenue source, which is our transportation tax.
Okay.
So that's the nuance.
Got it. The question, is there a specific why it only used general fund dollars? Mr.
That
Attorney?
was how the ordinance
No,
was
no,
passed.
that's how it probably was presented to us.
Oh, well.
I don't think we were aware. I know there are some restriction in some funds, but yeah.
If you're using other entities' funds, they typically will not allow you to use only have local preferences. So, for example, if you have federal DOT dollars or state dollars or even county dollars, since the money's coming from that larger group, they won't allow you just to use city resources or city vendors. To only use. Right. So in this case, where's the money coming from?
State money.
So it's
It's a
county
state-
surtax. So
okay.
the money's coming from people all over the county.
From all over the
They're not
county.
gonna allow you to restrict it to just vendors in the city when the funds are coming from all over the county.
Okay.
Which is probably why our ordinance is written that way.
Okay.
Question?
Yes.
Are
you
being
finished?
used from surtax funds, how much are we allocated altogether for surtax funds?
I'll have to turn to our transportation planner,
Yes.
Mr. John O'Brien.
What's the total amount we have available?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Terry Henley with the Budget Office. Total surtax is 3.8 million.
That we get for our city?
Yes.
Is that just for this year or
That's
total?
for 17-18 for this fiscal year.
And have we identified the rest of the streets or just?
Through the mayor, we're currently looking at the remaining list. Actually, Whistler and I were going through it individually, so we want to make sure we capture the previous request that we got from.
Also, should be mentioned that these streets were actually, these projects were actually started way before we initiated the citywide. That's why they actually.
Well, we are working on the list.
No, but
Would just like to be able to be.
No, in the fall.
participate
That's why you don't.
involved.
That's why you haven't seen anything brought forth. I'm working with Whistler and his staff to make sure that we've captured all previous requests on the list that we have. So, they'll be, I will brief with you individually and go through those various recommendations.
Okay.
You just have to do like me, put a little bit more pressure.
It's in my district, so I'm thrilled.
Hey, be more forceful, you know.
But we do have some streets that really,
Absolutely.
need it, that I haven't necessarily, I have to have this street done or this street, so I would like to be involved in the process. Thank you.
yeah.
After that.
Mr. Mayor, I have a quick question. You said you're gonna identify the $2.1 million is in the budget.
No, I'm
Be
talking about the
budgeted for that.
actual street projects, not the money.
Okay.
I'm talking about do you want this street versus this street? That's what I want to sit down with you on.
Okay. But you only have $1.1 million for street improvement, and you're spending about $1 million. Where is the other money?
No, we just,
No,
no,
that's the-
we have more. It's,
More.
we have carryover funds, in this case,
How
it's
much you do?
carryover.
Where? How much?
The whole, the 3.8?
Good.
We'll let Terry answer the question.
Sure. Out of the 3.8 million, we carried over a little more than 1 million from last year.
And also, Mr. Manager, didn't we include more funds from the general fund, or that wasn't for this street? I thought we did that. That's, huh?
That's the surplus he's talking
That's,
about.
no. I'm saying from the general fund, didn't we add more money for streets? No?
For FY 17-18, we did not do that. That was for 16-17, where we, during the budget hearing, we threw in another 400,000
Okay,
approximately.
I do remember.
For street
Okay.
improvements.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, we will entertain a motion to approve the item.
So
moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Desmay to approve tab H. That motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote. Tab I, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the site plan review of a proposed 4-story, 20,454 square foot self-storage facility on the 1-acre real property generally located at excuse me, generally located at 15025 Northeast 18th Avenue, and specifically identified with Miami-Dade County folio number 06-2221-012-0010, in accordance with Article 2, Division 7, Section 2-701, and Article 3, Division 2, Section 3-204 through Section 3-206, and Article 3, Division 3, Section 3-302, Subdivision A6 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Thank you. For the record, Tanya Wilson Sejour with Community Planning and Development. The request before you is for approval of a resolution for a site plan for proposed Essex storage facility to be located at 15025 Northeast 18th Avenue, consistent with requirements of Article 3, Division 2, Section 3-206, subsection E of the city's land development regulations. The council may recall back in June of this year with the adoption of the new LDRs, a requirement was included that for all site plan approvals that are reviewed and completed by the DRC, that those site plans would be brought before City Council for final approval. That's not something that was required before, so this is the first of its kind that you're now seeing, and you'll continue to see a series of site plans that are brought before you. So I'll walk you through a presentation of the proposed site plan for that facility. As I mentioned before, the address is 15025 Northeast 18th Avenue, and this is located in District 1. The subject property is zoned M1 with an industrial land use designation, and it's proposed for a storage facility which is permitted as of right in the M1 district. The site itself consists of 43,278 square feet in size, so it's a little bit under an acre in size. The gross building area is 109,809 square feet in size, and the proposed height is 54 feet. You have a copy of the site plan itself in your packet. The site plan was reviewed by the city's Development Review Committee back in November of 2017, and has been found to meet all the standards, development standards found in our land development regulations. And as such, the Development Review Committee recommended approval of the site plan. So there are no variances or anything that are required. Since they're meeting the code, then they are able to move forward to the building permit stage. We have the applicant that's here in the event that the council has any questions at this time.
Let's open it to the public first, and then we'll come to the dais for any possible questions or concern about the project. At this time, public hearing is open on the item. Public hearing is open on item I as in Irene. Anyone who wishes to be heard, please come to the mic for your 2 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. My name is Mitchell Feldman. I'm a stakeholder in the city.
Address?
We are at 1396 125th Street. We're the developers of the self-storage facility that recently received its TCO. We've enjoyed working with the city. We thank you all for all your support. I felt it was appropriate to be here in response for Ken Carlson, who's also an architect that we've used on other projects. I built over 1 million square feet of self-storage in South Florida and Puerto Rico. And I know the Essig family, they actually built my parents' pool about 45 years ago. And we just wanted to come out here and support the storage project and the M1 zoning, which is, we believe, consistent with the comprehensive plan that you guys have all recently installed. We also own a storage facility on 1555 Dixie Highway, only 4 blocks away from this project. So anything I can do to offer support for the petitioner, I'm here for that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Public hearing is still open on this item. I see no one coming. So public hearing is now closed. At this time, we'll come to the dais.
I missed part of the presentation, Mr. Mayor, but
where were
you? I went. Huh? Oh, that's Scott's district. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Scott. And now I'll go right after you. No, go ahead, Councilman.
All right, I'll be quick. This is where the old Essig Pool location is. Okay, just wanted to make sure didn't jump to a conclusion. So that's the only question I had.
Where?
Oh, in the corner.
It's on the corner. It's on that sort of like 5 or 6 corner place where the Essig Pool location is. There's the old Lithgow funeral place and the Caballero, I think they're calling it, funeral burial site is sort of catty corner across the street from them. So they're on 150th and Northeast 18th.
What the inflatables was?
Not the pool.
Not inflatables, but they had a long-standing pool business there that just recently
Yeah.
relocated, I think, to Miramar.
Yeah.
Someplace like that.
Hollywood.
Go ahead. Okay, my statement was, and I think staff pretty much know my concern with self-storage, however we frame them. I don't have, it's nothing in particular with the applicant. I think I've known the pool place for a very long time, but we are becoming a storage city. I think in the last few months we had at least 3 or 4, and I have one building in my district, which I hate, a storage building. I would hope the folks out there, I know it makes a lot of money, they would consider some other development in our city, because it's every month. They just had a ribbon cutting down the street. They had one. Another one is building up somewhere on 16th Avenue. We had the one in my area, another one. So they popping up all over, which is fine. So that's my concern with this. I know we can't tell the applicant or anyone else what to build or what it is, but I'm concerned about that direction and the way it's going. That's basically that. So.
Mr. Mayor, since I know the item is for site review approval, they're not asking for any variance. They're just, since we put in the LDR that the project need to come before us. But my concern, I don't see any green space. It's just a box with no green space. And
we actually have the landscape architect here. Our code requires 20% open space, and they're providing 25%. But the landscape architect could provide additional details.
you don't have to sell it to me. Let them talk. for
Absolutely.
themselves.
I'll let them
Good evening, Dale Bryant with Green Earth Landscape Architecture, 2458 Van Buren Street, Hollywood, Florida. Yeah, I'll try to put on my sales cap, but I'm a lousy salesman. We have overhead utility lines along 3 sides of this area, and we have FPL compliant trees, and one of the goals of the trees in the green space is not only to complement the architecture of the building, but also to provide shade for the pedestrian way, and of course make it look attractive as well. And even a third reason is to offset the scale of the building, complement it and soften it, as we like to say. What I have proposed right now, they're called false akashka. It's a very old school Florida, not really a tree, but lining the building. It's more like an large upright shrub, about 25, 30 feet. And they have a very unique look with these drooping leaves and branches, and they stay kind of tight. So for the verticality, that's the look we're going for there. We're also using silver buttonwood to complement and play off of the silver of the building facade. And like I said, we have trees, some flowering, some multi-trunk native, which are Simpson stoppers. The flowering is the street trees are crepe myrtle. And for accent on the main corner and the primary focal point of the building, we have Senecio Glaucus cassia, small yellow flowering trees. And then we have native softleaf coffee shrubs at that particular focal point corner. And as a foreground to that, we have dwarf bougainvillea, Helen Johnson bougainvillea, which is very showy, very nice. And then we have the silver buttonwoods lining around the building. So we've, I take a lot of pride on this. I am the former landscape architect for the city of Hollywood. I just resigned that job reluctantly in November because my private practice was growing, so I'm doing this full-time now. But every project I do, I try to treat the landscape like when I used to review and what I would want to see from consultants and applicants. And I'll be more than happy to answer any more questions if you have them.
And, Mr. Mayor, another question. The setback from 18th Avenue, what it is, from the sidewalk?
The setback of the building?
Yeah.
I'm going to take a look at the screen here and use it as a cheat sheet. One second. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. Let me
Mr.
see
Zhu,
if
can
they'll
you
blow
please,
up.
can you please help him identify the screen that he's trying to find?
I'm almost, they say on the reading glasses, the arm's length. I'm almost to that point, so I'm going to try.
I thought you were helping him.
It's a little over 12 feet from the sidewalk to the building facade on 18th Avenue.
On 18, what about 150? That's the entrance?
150. That's here. Right here, I think, right? That's 150 first.
And it was 15.
Oh, yeah.
15 feet 4 inches.
15 feet 4 inches from 150th. And then we had a little over 12 feet setback from 18th, Northeast 18th Avenue, and then 151st is
That's
17,
16 feet.
right? 17?
Yeah, that's 16.
Okay, 16 feet.
Okay.
From the back of sidewalk property line.
You will
And
have
then those spaces are filled with landscaping, and then along 151st Street, and the sidewalk is right up to the road. Along Northeast 18th and 150th, we have green space between the sidewalk and the building, and we also have the swale area between the sidewalk and the actual road. So both of those are filled with trees on both sides.
No more questions.
Thank you. Can you project that rendering again? That was on the bottom. Yeah, that rendering. Can you project that quickly?
Okay.
I mean, that's on the same line of questioning. So for people, when they're unloading, do they get into a gate, or are they going to be unloading like on the sidewalk and then go in?
No, this is Ken, my name is Ken Carlson, architect for the project, and what you have, okay, my name is Ken Carlson, the architect. What you'll be doing is loading off 150th Street. We'll go down 150, turn into the building under. All loading and trucks are under the building, not seen from the street. What they'll do is they'll exit back out onto 18th Avenue. as far as that goes. Or they can go back out on 150th Street.
So the ingress would be on one.
150, you go back into the industrial, you go down into the industrial, turn under the building, and then everything you see, we're trying to, you'll see this emulate a little bit more of the architecture in the Seoul, North Miami with that perforated metal panel. We're trying to basically have a high-end look to the building and basically look more of an office type of look to it versus a storage facility. And the whole thing is, and underneath this, what we have is we have parking below, we have a little screen wall forward of the parking, and then basically tucked back in, and any of the loading actions, you'll never see the back end of a truck. You'll see a front end of a truck maybe facing and coming out of the building from the streets.